Bill, what do you see as the future of entertainment? Do you see us coming back anytime fairly soon?
I do. You know, is it 6 weeks or 6 months? God help us. I'm preparing for an extended future like this. I'm preparing for a world where, in the near future, this is going to be the only source of income for somebody that doing online classes, doing online feeds. I discovered that thing called Patreon that the gamers use on YouTube and Twitch, where you can put a little link in and say, hey, if you really like the entertainment, support me, send me $3 a month. For $10 a month, get this. For $20 a month, we'll send you a T-shirt, whatever. But
Right.
there are other ways you can monetize it. The chances of somebody monetizing their live stream just from views and advertising are slim to none. But you can work out different things. And I've been teaching these classes, and I get kids in committing for 4 weeks at a time. And right now I've got about 30 of them, and about a half.
So what?
Oh, go ahead.
So what does it look like? It's like you in a room, and then there's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of people who have a code to get into that room.
Right. It's basically this, but with 9 of us, it looks like the Brady Bunch, so that's kind of cute.
Is that what the screen looks like?
Yeah. If you get 9, like you see both of us now, or you just see me with the iPad?
I just see you right now. Oh no, I see myself in the corner.
Oh, okay. So it's like a FaceTime almost.
Yeah.
So if you have a computer, a laptop, or if you could put on gallery view, you can make it look like so everybody's kind of equal. And then we could actually talk about producing stand-up comedy shows this way, because what you can do is there's something called spotlight view. So I can put somebody in spotlight and they're the big screen.
Right.
And so I'm actually going to start doing that with like class showcases, start doing a show here, and that person will take the showcase, and then I can go back to gallery view and say, okay, give it up for so-and-so. All right, our next comic is, and
Right. The problem is with
option.
stand-up, I think with stand-up, there's so much content on YouTube and other free mediums that it's probably difficult to do. However, a stand-up comedy class is something very different, and that wouldn't be a bad thing for me to think about.
Or even virtual open mics, even if it's just a couple dollars to join,
we tried the virtual open mic the other day, and I guess we still have kinks to work out, but it wasn't that smooth. People were jumping on each other, and
it has to be moderated. It has to.
We had a moderator, but it just didn't flow that well.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's just a technical kink that we could probably work out.
Right. And I'm learning better how to use the platform. You can do something where you mute everybody and then let one person talk, and that kind of stuff. You can do stuff like that. But certainly this stand-up comedy class, or just, I think creating platforms, what I found where I feel I'm not isolated because I've been doing this kind of thing so much, that I feel providing something like that for people where they can just come together and do something, even if it's, for pennies on the dollar for like a normal stand-up comedy, but somebody might be able to make $20-40 an hour to moderate it and have 8 people in there just chatting, just something, and having a comedian moderate it and comment on it might have something kind of a value.
Right.
Anyway, my feeling is what we used to make teaching a corporate workshop, we're never going to make on here, but just to keep cash flowing for people where it's like there's nothing else right now.
Listen, it's this or driving Uber.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think there's not going to be a lot of places for Uber drivers to drive people to.
Right. And a lot of people don't even want to do that. They're not wiping it down, I'm sure, every time.
Think about the concept of Uber. You're in a car with someone fairly close quarters. There's no social distancing in an Uber car, so both the driver and the passenger are kind of in danger. So I don't know what happens here. Again, I think that at some point, either we're going to be back in the Stone Ages, or we figure out a way to get simultaneously people better and commerce going again.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Now, if you want, I did want to ask you a couple questions, because I want to do this content creation and do a little interview, and because one of the things I am trying to do is to start develop content, and then maybe even start almost like a podcast with and I know there's other comedians are doing it out there too, but just to kind of create content and but more on the educational angle, not just comedians talking, but really talking about what it takes to get, getting Australian, what it takes to get into the business, what you recommend, what, a little bit of your story even, because I always kind of have been told by many, many people that you're kind of the inventor of the Bringer Barker show.
Yeah.
I've been told many, many times by other comics, and the number of comics out there that kind of can lead back to you giving them their first shot, as a producer, especially giving somebody, I know us in 2004, we were doing the main room at 8 o'clock on a Sunday with 7 people, and at the Improv. But it was the Improv back in the day, and
right.
But
well, I'll be talking a lot about this in a book that I just finished.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically how I haven't figured a title yet, but the book is done. It's basically talks about my 30 years in comedy.
Wow.
Being the first one with 2 comedy clubs in Manhattan, 2 showrooms in a club, 3 showrooms in a club. Yes, the inventor of the New Talent Showcase.
Mm-hmm.
But, my theory on that is, a lot of people have said that the Bringer show is very exploitive, and clubs exploit people in this. And I really have sort of a different take on it, because I was there when it was invented and why it was invented.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the only people that really object to Bringer shows are the ones that can't bring anybody, But why take away that ability from someone who can?
Right.
I'm a personal believer that there's a whole myriad of ways to get stage time, open mics, be useful to someone that does a show. I'm sure you and your business have interns
100%.
that have helped you. They help work the box office, or they work the lighting, or they seat people, and those people have been able to maneuver that into stage time. And I'm probably pretty sure if you have a manager or 2 in your operation, they might have started as an intern, And
But the guy used to bust tables at the Euro Comedy Club. Tino, or was it? And he ended up being a producer.
Right. So the thing is that you have to use every method you can to get stage time. So being useful, helping, barking, bringing. Now, if you can't bring, it's exploitive if you said to comedians, you cannot ever perform on my stage unless you do a Bringer show.
Right.
That's exploitive, and that's evil. Okay, but there have been many people through the years that have passed at my clubs that were people that never did a New Talent show for me, but they had the talent on their own. So you do it. My feeling is do it as if you can, but don't eliminate it and don't throw it out of the mix for people that can do it. It's like I said this on an interview yesterday with someone. If you're able to bring people to a show, why shouldn't you have that weapon in your arsenal?
Right.
And then to the comics that are really hardcore and say, well, what about, it's great for you to say that as a club owner because you're making a lot of money on those shows. Well, here's the question I ask you, and that is, if I stopped every Bringer show at my venue, if every club in New York stopped the Bringer show tomorrow, you got your wish. You'll never have a Bringer show again.
They got their wish last week.
Yeah, which is the last week. See how that feels. No, but if you eliminated every one of these shows from every club, no matter what, are you making those 9 o'clock shows at the club where you don't have to bring it on? Are you going to be on that show? Probably not, So unless you're good enough to be on that show with your talent, don't take away the ability for someone else to do those shows.
And what I teach the kids is kind of like the secret sauce is stage time. If you don't have stage time, you can't just sit down in your room. And I think there's 1 or 2 exceptions out there that could just write genius and then get up and recite it. But most of it, the process of getting on stage, working it through, and even people like Chris Rock will say, for every joke you see on the special, how many were thrown in the trash, that didn't make it that far because they tried them on stage, they sounded great in their head, they're terrible on stage.
It's like baseball. They see Derek Jeter.
Right.
Derek Jeter, great baseball player, Hall of Famer. What are you, delusional to think that Derek Jeter woke up as Derek Jeter?
Right.
Derek Jeter woke up and probably from the age of 6 on was playing catch with his dad at 5 o'clock in the morning. He did Little League, didn't get paid for Little League. He did single A ball, college ball, whatever. Didn't get paid for college ball, did single A ball, got paid very little. So do we make the argument that Derek Jeter was exploited for the first half of his life?
Yeah.
Or do we say that he was, doing what he felt he had to do to be able to get to the other side, which is become a multi-millionaire and a great ball player? So, there were two sides to do it. I mean, basically, the way that Bringer show started was that there was 6 or 7 comics hanging out at the bar at the New York Comedy Club in the early 1990s. And they asked me, what are their odds of getting up on stage? And I said, well, when you have Bill Hicks and you have Brett Butler and you have Mike Royce and a whole bunch of Dave Attell, when those are the people working on your 9 o'clock show, I got to be honest with you, I don't think you're going to be getting on anytime soon. And they said, well, what if we got together and picked a time spot that the club is not open and we all got together and did a show? And I said, by all means, do it. And this is capitalism. That's an hour of the day that I don't have anything going on. And if you could do something during that hour of the day that helps me pay my bills and is the big word, helps you achieve some career goals, then that's not exploitive on my part. That's what some people would call a win-win.
Right.
You're getting
I always saw it too. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you're getting the stage time and the oxygen you need to develop your career.
Right.
And I'm helping pay some bills at the club.
I always felt in the past, I tried to get more of those like different cabaret series going or improv series going with other troops. And what I always try to tell them is, at some point, it's New York City. Somebody has to pay for that space. And you can go into a room and just pay rent at a theater and then maybe give away tickets and maybe sell it, maybe not, but it's all that overhead. I think the thing about a Bringer show or another show is you as an artist are not paying out of pocket. The other option, if you want to do open mics all your life and pay out of pocket to get stage time, that's one thing. Bringer it's another way to get on stage without paying out of your own pocket. And if it's a good show, you're getting your friends together anyway. You're going to go out and drink anyway and hang out.
Well, that's how this bar show got created. That people do bar shows.
Right.
They rave about. Some people. There are some elements of people in comedy that think comedy clubs are this big bad devil, and that these bar shows are great. But I've been to some bar shows. To me, it's the same 10 people showing up every week, telling the same stupid jokes.
Yeah.
And that they all pat each other on the back afterwards, get participation trophies, and I don't see anybody getting excited over that. I don't see critical mass of 100 people going to a bar show and walking out and saying that was spectacular.
Right.
Whereas you can go to Broadway Comedy Club or any of the other comedy clubs in Manhattan at the end of a 9 o'clock show on a Saturday, and it's like Seinfeld once said, there's no greater feeling than working to a 9 o'clock show on a Saturday night at a comedy club in Manhattan.